I wanted to put together a quick video showing the power of internal linking, especially when it comes to uh, LLM visibility and showing up in them, and how a lot of the most complex sites, especially large organizations that might be the product of multiple private equity acquisitions, really struggle to keep their internal linking structure set up in a way that supports their end goals. So I wanted to talk about Vanco. Vanco is the roll-up of a bunch of different tools that serve a variety of different markets: faith, schools and education, childcare, nonprofit, faith in schools and community education being their largest verticals. This is a big site with a ton of content, so it is difficult to have an internal linking structure that ultimately supports everything that you want to do, but that does lead to problems. And I wanted to highlight a couple opportunities for this business today that I think apply to a lot of the businesses that are rolling up a bunch of sites into one. So here is an example search of what a customer might be prompting an LLM to provide them. So I'm looking for an online giving tool for my church. Should I pick Vanco or PushPay, which is one of their primary competitors? Give some strengths of each, some areas where they want to dig in. And then, what they recommend is if you're small, medium-sized, Vanco may be a better fit. If you're large or multi-site, so the largest kind of best church customers that are the highest value, you'd want to use PushPay. The question in my mind is, would Vanco agree with this? Would they say, we only want to use the smallest churches, or are we looking to work with larger churches? My assumption would be larger. So the question becomes, well, why? Why did this come up as what's prompted here? So you dig into the sources here. And what's interesting is you'll see they pulled from some things about Vanco on the page. But then the other piece that I think is the most important is this idea of comparison pages. And what are the comparisons that are getting pulled in? You'll see one of the primary sources is the PushPay comparison page. Then as we scroll down, there's a one on Subsplash. There is one on Vanco down here as well. But if we look at these, what I think is interesting is PushPay in their top nav here has a comparison page where you're able to see the different types of tools and how they compare, which is why it's getting pulled in basically. And then, as we look through here, you can see it's one of the top resources on the bottom. For Vanco's page, because I was like, do they have one? They actually do have a page on their website that is the Vanco page, but it's PushPay versus Vanco, and it's clustered in the faith-based blog section. So what is occurring is that the LLM is not surfacing that, which is really interesting. It's surfacing other pages, but it's not surfacing the page that they went through and said, here's our comparison against one of our primary competitors. It does pull in the Tithely page. It does pull in this top 15 church giving and donation softwares. But if we're thinking about why the Tithely page gets served, you could see, again, it's a comparison submenu. So they've thought through their internal linking structure, which is why it's easier for the LLM to find this. Whereas for Vanco, they're finding one of the pages, but this isn't the specific comparison page that Vanco spent a lot of time thinking about. How do we optimize for this? So for Vanco, there's probably a strong argument to create a comparison section on the website so that it's easier for the LLMs to identify the differences between them versus their primary competitors. One other thing I'll quickly mention just on the subject of internal linking is if you go in and ask for case studies about customers using Vanco, one of the things that I think is interesting is pulls in 3 different case studies. But as we look at where are those case studies coming from here, one of the things that I'll call out here is that some of these case studies are in a kind of different section on the site that isn't even part of the core blog nav. Others are part of the blog nav. And then others are not. So the case studies that's able to access are all in this top level domain. So for Vanco, the question would be, are these the case studies that you want the tools to be able to pull in? Because when I'm on the website, just as an example, one of the things is if you go to the who we serve, the resources, which pulls you into their kind of subsection, and then you filter down by case studies, you'll see that it's actually an entirely different section here to talk about the different case studies that they've got. So because the case studies, even for faith-based, are found in different locations, it's actually making it really difficult for the LLM to serve Banco's most updated case studies with the best, most updated videos. So in this case, just re-architecting the internal linking structure without creating any new content is going to carry a lot of weight and value for this organization.